Every smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste, the therapist. Let's go.
Hi. So hi, beautiful people. If you are watching me on the replay, thank you so much for watching me. I truly appreciate you. My name is Celeste. I am a therapist from Boston. And my goal when I come on here is to just help people shift the way they think. And I've been actually podcasting. This is a podcast, a live podcast. And I've been podcasting since 2018. And this is what it looks like. You can find it streaming on all podcasting platforms. On the podcast, you'll hear me talk to people that are doing things to empower other people. And the way that happens is because people share their stories. And since the pandemic started in March, about 8 weeks ago, I decided to bring my podcast on a video platform. So essentially doing the same thing that I was already doing, but just allowing an audience to watch me do it. And it's been an amazing experience. And one of the things that has been helpful is that the people that have come on have kind of shared how they've been navigating the pandemic, and people have found that to be helpful to know like, oh, I'm not alone in this process. And there's other people that are out here struggling as well. So before I bring on my special guest real quick, I just want to show you guys this free wellness wheel. If you go to celestetherapist.com, you can have this free workshop where I kind of break down these different areas, right? We have different areas of our lives that we struggle in. And sometimes we just stay struggling because we don't know how to like start or where am I struggling? And I found it to be helpful for people to actually like sit and look at the different parts of their lives. So I have that. And one more thing I just want to show is this crisis text line. You can actually connect to a crisis counselor via text by typing in this number 741-741, and it's no cost to you. And you can talk about how you're feeling. I think now it's important to make sure that you are having that dialogue, at least with yourself, about checking in with yourself about how you're feeling, to make sure those thoughts aren't growing. So that's important. All right, so I'm going to add my special guest to the stream and have her introduce herself to you guys. Sheena, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, good evening, guys. Sheena Collier, transplant to Boston, founder and CEO of the Collier Connection and creator of Boston While Black.
Thank you for being here. And so Sheena has been on the show before. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, and the show notes, you can click on the link to kind of hear her backstory. We went into really a lot of detail around
I was sharing a lot.
She was sharing a lot. I was surprised, to be honest with you. So she shared a lot. It was helpful to people. And so you can kind of hear the backstory. But just before I ask you to talk a little bit about Collier Connection, I first want to say congratulations on this recent acknowledgement from the city of Boston. Can you tell people what this is about?
Yeah, so the city of Boston, they have the mayor's office of diversity, and I don't know if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year, they declared that they had this campaign that was like more than a month. So essentially, you know, we have Black History Month in February, but they want to acknowledge Black people who are leading stuff throughout the city all year long. So they reached out to me, and I didn't actually know when it was coming out. I just knew they reached out to me about being featured. So I was kind of surprised to see it that day, because it also happened to be the 3-year anniversary of my business. So that was
Stop lying. It was the 3-year anniversary when it came out?
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's so dope. Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I've given a lot to Boston, so that felt good.
She has given a lot. She is a super connector. If you can give people a little backstory on why you created the connection that you created, and then kind of like what is the purpose of it?
Yeah, so came here now 16 years ago, and for grad school, like many people do, with Boston being an education hub, and just had a hard time feeling at home here and feeling a sense of belonging. And so over the years, I did a number of things. I'm like a partier. I like to host, and figured out my way around Boston, and built this dope network. And so after doing that for a decade or so, decided I wanted to do it for other people, because what was happening was people would send folks to me because they knew I knew how to navigate it, and had the perspective of a transplant. And I really believe in like community and shared space, and those are really like values that I hold dearly and are important to me. And I also was like, can I monetize this? Because I do this a lot. So I've been really figuring out the last 3 years, like, what does it look like as a business to be effective? And so I've tried a number of things over the years, and about to launch into kind of a new phase of it.
So with this issue that you had around being a transplant in Boston, do you think that's unique to Boston, or is that you're seeing that in other cities as well?
That's a good question. I mean, I think sometimes we do generalize Boston. Like I've only really been a working adult in Boston. I did move to DC for 2 years, and it was different. Like DC was actually, I moved there in 2011. That was the first time I felt like I could just go to a party or a bar by myself, and that I would meet people, that people would come to me and say something. And I hadn't, up until that point, felt like that in Boston. I have been in Boston for 7 years. So I don't know if it's unique to Boston, but I do think not everywhere is like that.
Okay. Yeah. And one of the things you said is important and passionate for you is like a sense of community. And now March comes, right? And then there's this pandemic that takes place. Like mentally, what did that do for you? Because we actually had our episode in February or January, a couple months prior, and we were talking about all of these amazing things you've been curating, and everything kind of stopped. So I'm just curious about what went through your mind during that time.
Yeah, I mean, first, and what still goes through my mind is like, where are we? Like, what's happening? Like, are we in some kind of alternate universe?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, like a lot of folks, you see stuff happen in other parts of the world, but you're like, that's not going to happen in America. Like, that's, we have these systems and this, even if you don't fully buy into it, you've been brought up to believe certain things as an American. So that was my initial reaction of like, is this really happening here? Like, this doesn't even seem real. My next thought was, okay, I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. I don't have the benefit of having a job and benefits and things like that. At that time, independent contractors couldn't get unemployment. So I didn't really panic, but I started to think quickly about what am I going to do to make sure that I sustain my income. So I immediately started to think about how I could shift some of the stuff that I was doing virtually, more so the stuff that I still consult a lot and have clients. A lot of my contracts were based on events. So I had to come up with some pretty quick ideas to pitch to them, to make sure I could keep my clients.
Did you first make a point to take care of yourself, or did you just jump into trying to switch it over?
I've gone through, I don't know, what are we in, like week 8 or 9 now?
Yeah.
So I've gone through different phases. So I would say initially, I actually chose to stay home before there was a stay-at-home order. So because I actually wasn't feeling good, and I, it still is like this, but even back then it was even less information about coronavirus. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna just start staying home. I have the luxury, I'm a consultant, so I work from home. And so that was actually my first focus. I actually had some type of flu or something. So I stayed home for a couple of days. And I think throughout the last 2 months, I've had like these chunks where I'm like, really, it's like I went from that to all of a sudden I was like so busy. Like it was like every minute of the day was scheduled. Because I think, because I was having a lot of phone calls with people trying to figure out like, oh, what's next? Like, what can we do? And then I had another 2 weeks where I like didn't really do anything. Like, I did nothing, but I gave myself a pass to be like, girl, it's a global crisis. Like, and this was after I had secured, my contracts, and I felt like I could relax a little. I just kind of enjoyed my house and just kind of moved around the house throughout the day, played music, rearranged my closet. And now I would say the last 2 weeks or so, I've jumped back into kind of go mode, but I feel good about it. Like I'm way more present than I've ever been in life. Like I'm just going day by day.
That's amazing. And it sounds like it took you taking a pause, not just we had to take a pause, but also you really took a pause to just like kind of check in with yourself and work on being present to be able to kind of do the things that you're currently doing now.
Yeah. I think what this time has introduced, and this is for people that are not in total crisis, so I'm speaking as someone that still doing okay, is that you just don't really know what's going to happen next. So I can't spend too much energy thinking about that. I'm planning for my business for the future, but outside of that, I wake up each day and I'm like, all right, what's happening today? And because this has taught me like literally things can change in a week.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be present and enjoy the time that I'm in.
Good. Now I want to hear about like, how did this first event take place? Because you hosted like a party night, and because Sheena loves to party and enjoy herself, it makes sense how that was something that you came up with. Yeah. Tell me about like the mindset that like, how does that happen? Because this is a very unique time for us. And I think it's so funny because like, I work during the week and Friday nights and my Friday nights. And sometimes I'm like, let me see what parties happening on Zoom. And I'm like, is this really my life? Yeah. Ludacris and Nelly had a battle. And I was just like, this is so dope. I never thought I would be like lit off of an Instagram live, but.
So what I love about this time for myself and what I'm seeing for a lot of other creators and even like a lot of music artists, I think the lack is making people be more creative, right? Like stuff that you just don't have access to. So you either need to figure out another way to do it or, do nothing. So for me, truthfully, with virtual vibes, which is what those parties are called, I was texting with one of my homegirls and was making this joke of like, I guess we're never going to party I guess we won't party again till 2021. And then it just popped in my head like, oh, well, let me see if I could create a virtual party. And yeah, that's honestly where it came from. And then the way that my mind goes, once I get on something, then I need to do it like right away. So I've been in the house since March 12th. I threw that party on March 28th. Like I was like moved towards that. And so, I think that I've always been a person, and this is not unique to me, but that under pressure, like I produce the best stuff.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so I just decided to do it and try it out. And I upgraded my Zoom account and saw people wanted to be down. And that first party, like 500 people RSVP'd.
Wow.
And everyone was just looking for a new way. And I advertised them as like 4-hour parties, but they go to like 3-4 in the morning because people just want to be together.
Yeah. And so you found that to be kind of therapeutic for you, and have other people mentioned like how helpful that is for them to have?
I haven't, other than my own friends, talked to folks about it, but there's become a cult following. Like there's like the same 50 people that are on every one. Other people fluctuate, but there's like a core group of people that are always there. They're the ones that stay on all night.
Oh, that's awesome. So now that party happens, you're curating events for other people, right? You're consulting for other people. And I know when we talked on our last episode, you started talking about Boston While Black. You're creating this thing that's going to launch this summer. Now, Are you thinking were you thinking during this time, Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to wait till launch. Is that what was your thought process?
So Boston While Black is a membership community, and though I switched to doing online parties, I'm actually a very in-person person. Like I'm all about like how you use your space and just like connecting with people. One of the things that I'm mourning about this time that we're in is like you don't just run into people anymore. Like most of your interactions are planned now because they're virtual, and so there's just something special about just running into someone and something coming out of that. So I was like, how do you do a membership that's based around in-person connections virtually? And I really, for a couple of weeks, just was like, I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to pause it. But then I don't quite remember what happened. But I actually have a weekly call with a group of Black women entrepreneurs from around the country. There's 12 of us that I co-lead with my friend Sheena Ewan. She's in Brooklyn, in Genie Box, and we call it our business wellness check-in.
Wow.
And one of the calls, they were like, "Girl, just go. Like, just do it. Like, the more you think about it, it's never gonna happen." And
go ahead. Sorry.
And so then I was like, you know what? I am. And people have online communities all the time, and we're virtual memberships. Thank you, Shagun. And so, sorry, I'm looking at the comments.
No, I put it up so you can see it.
So I just decided to go because I can be a perfectionist and an overthinker. And the thing I offer to the world is I do know how to create community for people. And so I've made the shift, and now I'm actually launching it on July 1st, which is my birthday. And
so before you talk about what you're doing June 1st or July 1st? Oh, okay, June. Yep. I'm trying to tell you about your event, girl, but you're right. I got the dates wrong. I'm thinking about the other thing happening. No, so before I ask you about, because if you could talk a little bit about what Boston While Black is, because I know you talked about it on the last episode, but you mentioned having this mastermind group, because I like to pick out these points that makes you part of being great. And I love your transparency about how you overthink, and this is a problem a lot of people have. How powerful is it to have like this kind of mastermind check-in that you do? Like how important has that been to your growth?
Amazing. So Chana and I knew each other, and she called me, one Saturday just to see how I was holding up in this time. We ended up talking for like 4 hours. And one of the things I said, and one of the, like I am in the present, but I'm also like, there's another Sheena that's floating over me that's kind of watching what's going on. So one of the more existential experiences I'm having right now is like, what's going to be different about the world? And I actually started a list at first of like things I thought that were going to be different. And so one of the things I said to her was, there's going to be new businesses that are needed. Like this has shown so many issues that we have, or it's created new issues. I was like, I think we should actually get ahead of it, because this is a way of overgeneralization. But I think Black people generally, we're in a lot of industries that were actually hit hard by COVID. And instead of us being, or along with us being in the more future-oriented industries, us really being ahead of what's going on. And so I was like, I think we should bring together kind of a group of people to talk about what are the next set of businesses that are going to be needed. And so she invited 5 or 6 women. I invited 5 or 6 women. They just all, I don't know if we did this on purpose, but are Black women entrepreneurs. And we got on a Zoom one Saturday and just went around and talked about how our industry was being impacted. And we only planned to do it that one time, and talk about like how your industry is impacted, what would you need, what's the challenge you're having in your business. And now it's becoming every Saturday. I think we're coming up on our 6th Saturday.
Nice.
And now we've had actually special guests that have come, like people from major companies, brands that have come in to us. And we're really figuring out now what to do with the group, because it's a dope group of women that didn't know each other 6 weeks ago and now are really tight and support each other. And so it's been really amazing. And yes, everyone, including myself, needs it, because also as it's going on, people have family members that are passing away, and they're going through their own stuff. And so I think it's grounded everyone to have this consistent call every week.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's going to help somebody that maybe feel like they're missing a piece to helping them grow. And maybe that piece is having some kind of accountability partner. So I think that's really good.
I think you need that. Yeah, Girls Trek, the organization, did this thing the other day with Angela Davis and Nikki Giovanni. They like a live stream with them, and they asked Angela Davis what's her self-care regimen, like how does she define they called it radical self-care. And part of her answer was, self-care to me means community. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, like, because when we talk about self-care, the way we boiled it down is like stuff you're doing for by yourself, for yourself.
Yeah.
I actually thrive in community.
Yeah.
But I do like being by myself. I'm actually very much an introvert. But as far as like accountability, I need other people.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Boston While Black is going to launch July, but tell people about Boston While Black and what that membership kind of looks like.
Yeah, so it's going to be a membership community for Black students, professionals, and entrepreneurs who are either new to Boston or even people that are still learning how to navigate, or even folks that are from here that just want to be connected to Boston in a different way and connected to this community of kind of Black folks that are really trying to learn and create tools so that we can create the city that we want to live in. So it'll include things like, I'm speaking as an in-person membership, and then I'll talk about how I'm translating it to virtual. Yeah. But things like private dinners with different leaders around the city, master classes on just different topics that folks want to learn. We'll also do some exploring the city together, and really learning how to navigate and seeing what the city has to offer. And the tagline for it is find your tribe, grow your network, navigate the city, have fun. It came from me. I wrote down actually what I felt like what did I need along the way to help me feel like I belonged in Boston, and I'm turning it into a curriculum for other people.
That's awesome. And I think the mindset around what you're trying to do is important, because I find that a lot of things happen. You could be like really great at what you do, but a lot of it's who you know, to be able to get into a certain thing that you're trying to do. And I found a lot through connection, like where, people know who I am, and they were able to introduce me to somebody else, and that was what helped me. And is that why you thought you're thinking around this way of like the connection piece?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I named the company what I named it, like for me, the Collier Connection, the parent company. To me, that is, I am very smart and talented.
Yeah.
However, the relationships that I've built are what have really given me the experience that I've had in Boston. And I know that not everyone has the access that I have. Not everyone has the information that I have. And, some people like that. Some people like to be that person. Like they don't want other people to have the access and information they have. I'm not like that. Like, to me, I always make this joke, like, if I become a millionaire and none of my friends are millionaire, that's no fun to me. Like,
right.
I want to make sure that the things that I've learned, things that I'm doing, the people and places I have access to, that I'm sharing that with other people, and really, teaching them kind of what I've learned about, frankly, like mastering a city, because I feel like I have. And so that's a lot of what it is. And the reason I'm making it a membership community is because, I call myself a superconnector, but I don't want everybody coming to me. Like, I actually want people to build relationships with each other. I'd like to be back in Ghana for 2 weeks, and Boston While Black is still running. Like, I'm the face of it right now because I'm building it off of my brand, but it's really not about me. It's about people being connected to each other. I feel like, particularly as Black folks, we just need more concentrated power, to do the stuff that we want to do, and have fun while doing it. So sometimes on the surface or from a distance, things look like parties and things like that. But I'm really making sure that other Black folks, so that when you want to run for office, so that when you're looking for a job, when you want to buy a house, that you have a community of people that support you.
That's dope. Now, for people listening to this on the podcast who probably are like, oh my gosh, that's so dope, but I'm not in Boston. Don't worry, because Sheena has something going on during quarantine where you can actually be a part of. So tell people about like what is about to be popping off June 1st.
That's right. That is what you were saying earlier. So June 1st through June 5th, I'm hosting Quarantining While Black. And so I was thinking about where this came from. I just was thinking about all the things that we're now forced to do ourselves at home. I already knew how to braid, so I've been able to take care of my hair. I haven't mastered eyebrows and nails yet. That's my next thing. Dating, which yeah. And I'm cooking way more than I ever have in my life. And I have friends who I'm having these conversations with as well. And so I'm like, you know what? I want to put something together that is like a do-it-yourself or DIY kind of week of here's how you maintain in a crisis. And so Monday is going to be about, we're going to have a barber for the fellas to talk about your beard and your lineup, and some stylists for the women to talk about your fro and locks and things like that. Tuesday, we're going to have some amazing people that are going to be talking about food, and growing your own food or cooking on a budget, using ingredients you already have in your house to cook. Wednesday is all about working from home, and it's going to be focused on setting up your space for productivity and peace, as well as how do you work from home if you have kids in the house or if you have a partner. And then Thursday is about finances, and more so the angle is, I'm not eating out all the time. I'm not buying lunch. I'm not buying Starbucks. What could I be doing differently with my money around investing or saving? And then Friday is a dating event, and I'm partnering with this group called You Should Date PowerPoint. And what they have done is take this concept of like a pitch deck. So when pitch their businesses, and you actually pitch your single friends to the crowd. You create a 3-minute presentation about your friend, and people have to submit.
That's so dope.
People have to submit them ahead of time, and we'll pick 10 people to go, both men and women. Your girl, a woman can pitch her girl, same sex, opposite sex, any kind of sexual orientation, like really whoever wants to pick. And and so you get to pitch for 3 minutes, and then the audience has 2 minutes to ask you questions.
Wait, so if I have a friend that's single, because I've been married for like 12 years, so can you go there if you married?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Like, but you can't be a part of the dating crew if you're married.
Members. I mean, that's what makes the event.
But can I be a part of the dating crew though?
Well, you guys talk to your husband about that. We're in weird times, so whatever y'all decide to do. But no, you have a friend that male or female, that you're like, I think they're really dope, and this is why I think you should date them. And I sat in on one of their events I heard about it, and I was like, oh, I want to, because I knew I might want to partner with them. And it was funny, and it was just amazing because your friend is going to talk about you,
Good.
Going to talk about yourself. So that's how we're ending the week around, how do you date from a distance, and hopefully getting some people some quarantine booze.
Wait, one question. So the person that's talking now is if I'm talking from my friend, is my friend's face plastered while I'm talking, or?
Oh, you're literally creating slides. Like you're doing a slide deck. When you're finished presenting, the questions go to your friend. So the questions people have go to your friend. And then when they're doing it in person, your friend is on stage with you.
That is so dope.
Yeah, so I watched it. It was very entertaining, but just a fun and different way, and kind of playing off of this whole time we're in of like pitching businesses and of like, pitch your girl, help her get somebody.
So if people are, because if the audience, this podcast is like nationwide, if people are in other places outside of Boston, are they welcome to come to this event? Okay.
All week, yeah. It's not Boston specific. It is a way for me to promote the Boston Wild Black membership. That, by the way, will one day be the Bay Wild Black, Seattle Wild Black, Austin Wild Black. So it is a way for me to promote the membership, but particularly Quarantining Wild Black is for anyone. Like, none of what we're talking about is really Boston specific.
That's true.
Even the dating piece, you can be wherever. So yeah, I encourage Black folks all over the country or world to come be a part of it.
Oh, that's dope. I'm gonna have to get my ticket because it sounds like it's really fun. Now tell people like how they can, you've talked about a lot of dope things. Tell people how they can reach you if they want to be a part of this event and even do the membership that you're talking about. Is the membership open now or how is that going?
Well, it'll launch. That's what's going to launch on July 1st. So
okay.
Right now we're building up the interest and getting input from folks. I'm going to be doing a couple of like IG and Facebook Live info sessions. So the best way for specifically around Boston Wild Black is to follow on IG is at Boston Wild Black.
Okay.
And that's where we're starting to talk about like, what does it mean to be a member? There's also a linktree.com/Boston Wild Black that has a form where you can actually go sign up if you're interested in being a member. So we already have a list of about 175 people that have shown interest, and that's continuing to grow. And then you also can, through that page, get access to the tickets for Quarantine and Wild Black. But outside of, if you're not on IG or just don't care to do all that, you can also go to quarantining, and it's one of those words that you got to look at it when you're spelling it. Quarantiningwildblack.eventbrite.com.
Okay.
And that's where you can specifically for that week. And all throughout the week at the events, we'll be talking about Boston Wild Black membership as well.
Okay.
But the best two ways to do it. Yeah. And I'll say we're still forming, what the final kind of initial founding member experience is going to be, but it's going to be a capped amount of folks. So we're going to open up membership, have a certain amount of founding members, and then close it for a while so that we can really grow with those folks and see what they want and see what the membership should look like, and probably then open it up again in the fall. So definitely get in.
That sounds amazing. Are you one of those people that you just get these ideas in your head, like you just be thinking about? Because
yes.
Yeah, you are.
I have a couple of big idea notebooks, and I have a fireplace in my room. So actually along the fireplace, I have sticky notes of like all the things I want to do in my life. Wow. And I'm constantly having ideas, and I'm super blessed. I have amazing friends who indulge my ideas and help me to bring them to life. And so I have a whole Boston Wild Black design team made up of friends of mine that are meeting multiple times a week to help to bring this together. But no, I have all kinds of, I haven't even scratched the surface. Sometimes when people are, giving me kudos for stuff I've done, I'm like, y'all don't even know. Like, wait till I get some money. Like, I'm really going to be, it's going to.
Are you going to come back on my show when you get money, Sheena, or are you going to act like you don't know me?
My backdrop's going to be different, but yeah, I'll be on the beach talking to you. But no, yeah, I definitely, I have a lot of ideas about how to, for me, my contribution to the kind of plight of Black folks is to make sure that we're experiencing joy. I don't really talk publicly, and it's not because for any reason, but about a lot of the more serious work that I do, like a lot of stuff with my clients is more stuff around Black-owned businesses and investing in those businesses and getting people access to contracts. So that's how I really spend most of my time. And I'm doing that piece. And then, but I feel like my long-term contribution is like, how do we just like thrive, and move beyond the survival that we've been doing for centuries. So this is another way that I'm doing that.
No, that's dope. Let me just gonna ask you one more question from the audience before you leave. The cost of the membership.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep. So there will be a cost there. I haven't finalized it yet, or haven't publicized it yet, I should say. But yes, there will be a monthly and annual. You can either pay monthly or annually. Because we just want to make sure people are invested in it.
And then with this is just a one-time fee.
There's you can pay for, like you just want to come to one night, but I would more, and then you can buy a bundle. It's more cost effective for you to just
buy the bundle. Okay.
And so, yeah, so for both, you know, I think as like always trying to have this mix of making sure stuff is accessible, that's really important to me, but also valuing my time.
That's right, girl. Sheena, it's always a pleasure when you're with me and we have dope conversations. I appreciate your time and your willingness to come on. This was amazing. And I will, I'll definitely be at the healthy food one and the dating one just because I want to be a fly on the wall because it sounds like interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like I'm super excited to see what people end up pitching. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
That was good. So that was Sheena. So she's been on the show before. If you want to hear her backstory, if you I don't remember the episode number, but if you're listening to this on the podcast, it's going to be in the show notes. But if you type in her name and my name, the podcast will come up where she kind of shares. I know, isn't it? It's so exciting. Where Sheena kind of shares actually. So we actually left off at the I always say this wrong. Collier connection. I hope I said it right. We left off at that point, but the whole podcast was literally her sharing her story about growing up, going to college, struggling with depression, and then kind of getting to this place and developing this brand. And we talked about Boston While Black and what was going to happen. And this was actually around February. And then so I seen her on LinkedIn. I seen the stuff she was doing, and I was like, dang, like she's really moving. She's really doing all these dope things. And so I asked her, I wanted to come on just to kind of share what she's doing. But her passion is like real. And it's hard to find genuine people that are willing to share resources and share their story. You know, it's really hard. And for her, like she's a connector, but the connection didn't just happen. Like nobody just was like, here, Sheena, like, here's all these connections. Here's a Black book. Like she actually did a lot of work to get to that point. And she talks about that in the podcast as well. Like she's really done a lot of work to be who she is. Like nothing was handed to her. And that, you know, that's why I like this podcast, is because even though you see her on the outside and see what she's doing, there's a backstory to it. Everybody has a backstory. And if you're like, if part of her story is a story that you're currently in, it gives you a little bit of hope and lets you know that you're not alone. And that's what like I really want to do. Like I think about Alcoholic Anonymous and how people can go in on day one and hear somebody who's been sober for 20 years and they start to think like, oh my gosh, like maybe I can do this. And that's why like I kind of created this podcast. So tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to have, hey, Tiffany, I'm actually going to have Tiffany on. And she is, she's going to be on sharing her story. I've been following her for a while. I listened to her podcast. She's amazing. And she's going to come on. Like, I'm grateful for all the people that come on and share their story. You guys are amazing. And if you want to listen to this on Hey Fathead, everybody's coming in. So if you want to catch the replay, obviously you can watch the video replay, but the podcast is going to be up tonight. So if you follow my podcast, you'll hear it tonight. And if you don't follow my podcast, it's right here. June 5th, you know, save the date. You're welcome, Missy. June 5th, we're going to have a virtual party to celebrate your girl reached 100,000 episodes. 100,000 downloads. And we're in like 125 countries. And it's been truly amazing, this journey. So, you know, I really want to celebrate it. Right. So, I'm going to have a link for that. And we're going to have some giveaways and some games. So I'm just looking forward to rocking out with people, you know. Yes. And the dope thing is that, the dope thing about it is that, I had to start at episode 1 to get here, right? And my Periscope people, hey, thank you. My Periscope people who's been rocking with me for a long time, you guys know, you know how I started, right? And so to be here and to know like where I've come, how far I've come, it's amazing. And all of the dope people like Sheena that don't know me from a hole in the wall that decide to like come on and share with me, it really like warms my spirit. So I'm like beyond grateful. So love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk to my girl Tiffany. If you want to be on the show, send me an email, info@celestetherapist.com, or follow me on all social media platforms at Celeste Therapist. Peace out.
Every laugh, every smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste the Therapist. Let's go.